Okay, welcome to Descent Studios. I'm Marty. As always, I'm joined by my partner Faye, and today we
Hey.
have our first guest. Whoa, I screwed that one up. Wow. Okay, little technical glitch there. Fixed easily. Okay. Okay, we're joined by Beth McCormick. Um, and we're here to discuss secular recovery. And considering that we've got books like this and everything, so um,
It's a
so
hard
it's
subject.
definitely
It's a hard subject.
it is, and this subject is actually something that's very very close to me because I have been in AA before, and I have been part of religious um, programs before. So talking about a secular recovery is something that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, cool.
Um, because I haven't had much experience with it. So, um, what exactly does a secular recovery program consist of?
Well, it's not really so much of a program, it's like a realization. I read this book called Rational Recovery, and they espouse complete abstinence and guaranteeing that you will stay abstinent. It's not a one day at a time thing, it's a declaration of abstinence. And essentially, their most basic tenet is that you are personally responsible for your addiction. It's not a disease. It's not something that you can't help. It's something that you take personal responsibility for.
So, in other words, it's completely different than looking at in the big book
Yeah.
where they're like, okay, you got to admit that you're powerless. You got to
Yeah.
admit that you're basically trash, and
Yes.
that the only thing that can lift you out of this is this higher power.
Yes. Absolutely. And for a lot of people, including myself, I was in AA for decades, and I failed every 6 months or so. I would fail hugely. And I think that what caused that was that well, first of all, I'm an atheist, and second of all, the part about giving up, about surrendering, and the powerlessness thing, it just didn't resonate, and I couldn't really grasp hold of it enough to, in quotation marks, work the program.
Yeah, and I actually had a very similar experience. In fact, when I was in AA, I ended up drinking a whole heck of a lot more than I do outside of the program.
Yeah, me too. Same thing.
And the personal responsibility and abrogating that is a direct tie into the religious nature of the program in AA or these other things. Whereas what I'm understanding about secular recovery is that it's taking the personal responsibility for the addiction and taking the personal responsibility for the way that you handle it.
Yes, exactly.
So was it how did you find out about this rational recovery?
I think I just stumbled on it on the internet when I was searching for like secular recovery or non-AA, AA alternatives, things like that. And rational recovery came up, and it was intriguing to me because it was non-group oriented, and I really just didn't like being part of that group. And it just resonated so clearly with me that it was an individual, personal responsibility.
Right.
So,
and you said that you had tried AA for years?
yes, for decades.
Now, how did you? Okay, not to get like too personal or anything, but how did you decide that you wanted to stop drinking?
Well, I knew for a long time that I had a drinking problem. I was in a band in New York City and New Orleans for 20 years. And so I was in bars all the time, and all my friends were musicians and all in bars. And normal part of my life. It was like my identity. But I started finding myself blacking out and doing stupid things and just being uncomfortable with it. So I started trying AA, and I would last maybe 3 or 4 months and then just completely relapse worse than I was before, which is like a stereotype, you know? And then finally I had my kid, and I drove drunk with my baby. And I realized, I realized that it was one time, and I realized that if I had been stopped by the police, they would have taken the baby, and they would have been right to do so. So that's what kind of like snapped me into reality of I need to take responsibility for this. I can't put responsibility onto anyone else. It has to be me. It's, you know, I have a kid now. So that's really what it was, is having the kid.
So,
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, from what I've heard about 12-step programs is that, what do you call it? It's because you didn't pray hard enough, or didn't connect to a God or a higher power thing hard enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Beth, we're getting a little bit of echo from you.
Okay.
If you can turn down your volume.
Oh, you know what? The fan is on. Hold on.
That could do it too, because there is a feedback.
Is that better?
Testing. Okay, if you can turn down your speaker volume a little bit.
Or just move your mic away from the speaker.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that better? Is this better?
Yes.
Is it?
Oh no.
A little bit.
I can hear myself.
You can hear yourself. I can hear you guys both fine.
Okay.
Beth, do you have the YouTube channel playing in the background?
No, I have nothing else playing.
Okay, because that can. Oh, now there's no echo. Perfect.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I don't know what I did.
Might have something to do with me.
Oh wow.
Who knows?
Huh, I'm gonna have to move something. But anyway, from the chat, Doc says, this is timely. I quit in August and I've fallen off twice. Tonight is the second time. I'm drinking now and I feel awful. So this chat is actually a good thing.
Wow. I would direct him toward Rational Recovery. He can look it up online right now. They have a really great website. Rational Recovery. Oh my God. I think everyone should. It kind of blows my mind that AA and 12-step is so firmly entrenched in our culture, you know, that doctors are it's like it's the only option that seems to be available to you, because it's pushed so hard by the medical profession and by the, you know, police and courts and everything, and it just does not work. So just, you know, it makes this terrible cycle, I feel.
Yeah, it truly is this cycle that really a lot of times happens, and the actual success rate for AA is around 60%, if that.
Yeah, I heard it was more like 5 or 10%.
Yeah, well, this is off of their literature, but then if you go by other organizations that have tested AA, it is 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
Will quit permanently. Otherwise, they get locked into this constant cycle
Of relapse.
Yeah, and
they don't count relapses though as a failure, because it's up to the individual to pray harder. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, you just go back through the steps again.
Yeah, you go through the steps again. I was thinking about this. Is it okay if I tell a story, like a little story?
Oh, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about this one awful relapse that I had, And I was driving my car in Wales. I was driving around Wales. And I was praying because I felt like I was going to drink. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to pray. I'm going to see if it works. I pretended to believe in God, and I prayed the entire day that I was driving around. So I finally get to my destination, and I got drunker than I have ever gotten in my life. Seriously, and did some awful, awful, awful stuff. And yeah, and that was just like, all right, so was I not praying hard enough? Because I just prayed for 8 hours straight, you know? So it doesn't work. That did not work for me. And yes, they told me I wasn't praying hard enough.
Well, actually, that's actually a very good segue into reading something out of the big book, which I have right here.
Good.
And this is just, you know, to me, it's appalling. It's out of chapter 5, How It Works. You know, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path.
Yeah.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the cycle right there, and the religious aspect of your trash, which is used with the original sin argument and all that, comes into play here again. And you can see this cycle that you end up going through with the 12 steps. You know, I mean, I could read through these 12 steps and you could see exactly how this cycle is. It's basically set up to repeat constantly.
Yes. I think that, well, I was reading on Rational Recovery website today about how AA sets itself up as an alternative family. And it's very much like a cult, really. When it sets itself up as an alternative to your family, a better alternative to your family, because your family doesn't understand you because you have a disease.
I'm going to have to read the 12 steps.
Okay, do it.
Because it illustrates exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Yeah.
7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Yes.
And that right there can illustrate the cycle that you can get trapped in.
Yeah.
Very, very easily.
Yeah.
In this program. Because what you're told in AA is that you're going to be doing these steps for the rest of your life.
Yes.
That there literally is not hope.
Right.
Unless you're in the program.
Exactly. No hope. It's terrible. And to think that you have to keep going back and repeating them over and over and over and over is just numbing the brain.
Exactly. And it's the exact same thing that happens at every Sunday and every Wednesday night at church services.
Yes. And every indoctrination into anything.
Exactly. It's very manipulative. manipulative.
Yes, exactly.
And by setting this AA group that you're part of, plus your sponsor, your sponsor becomes your brother, your sister, your confidant, your everything. Basically, your
Yes.
confessor.
Yes. Yeah, and they really set themselves up as understanding you much better than your real family or your friends.
Exactly.
They really, it is a little bit disturbing. It didn't seem disturbing to me at the time, but it does now that I think back on it. And a lot of just hearing those 12 steps really, because some of it makes sense and enough of it makes sense to warrant me questioning my response to the things that don't make sense to me. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I'm saying, okay, well, it's nice to make amends. Making amends is a good thing. Maybe I should reconsider this higher power issue.
Yeah, but that's the trap. That's the cycle.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's the same,
It is a cycle.
It's the
It's
same
kind of odd
cycle.
to me. Because
It's what?
it's odd to me because when it comes to religion, you always think of a surrender or the people who tell you to obey it, and that
Yes.
God has the responsibility for basically, Jesus take the wheel. But then with the AA thing, it's mixed in with personal responsibility, making amends, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't really give you full responsibility. And I think that's why it fails. Because
Yeah.
I mean, even though I've never gone through it, when I'm looking at these rules or this 12-step thing, because I looked it up too, it doesn't say anything about taking control of your own life. It just says make your apologies and then connect with God.
Yes.
And see how that works.
Yeah. It's basically it's advocating the what do you call it? The giving up of control.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they tell you you need to give up control. Just like a religion would say, you have to have faith. And faith is the foremost commandment of any religion, I've been noticing lately. Have faith, have faith, have faith. Don't question anything, just have faith. And it's the same with AA. You got to have faith in the program. Do it right, you will win.
Exactly. I was looking up secular solutions for addictions, and there's not many. There's
No.
rational recovery, life ring
Yeah.
secular recovery,
Yeah.
exposure response prevention, which is
Yeah.
killthecraving.com.
Yeah.
Secular organizations for sobriety, SOS. Smart recovery, self-management, and recovery training, and we agnostics, atheists, and free thinkers in Alcoholics Anonymous. So it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but with an atheist thing. And I haven't looked up their success rates for these groups.
Yeah.
But I also know that hospitals and things like that, it's only now that we're getting other type of like medical treatment available for addictions, but the ones that have pain addictions have more medical choices than just alcohol. So it's really difficult, I think.
Have you come across any websites advocating for non-secular programs? Like, for example, if you just Google like recovery, or recovery options, how many of those will be secular and how many of those will be 12-step? I bet 99% of them are 12-step.
Yeah,
honestly, most of them are 12 steps.
Yeah. Every like facility within Albuquerque is 12-step. Every recovery facility almost in the state of New Mexico is 12-step. So there's no option for people at 12-step.
Well, I do know that in my area, and you and I had tweeted a little between us about this. In my area, there's 2 places. Both of them are churches. And then after that, the nearest one is an hour away in Vermont.
Yeah.
So that's not very helpful.
No. No, I just think people don't know that there is an option to AA because they're told that there is not. And AA itself tells you that there is no option to AA. They say it's either AA or death.
That's exactly it. And, I mean, just that little snippet that I read, there's a further little snippet here where it goes on to say our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make it clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our lives.
Yeah.
B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought.
Ooh, that's heavy. So you have to seek the Lord, and then you are healed. Ooh.
That's exactly.
About that, Mary.
What do I think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Well, I think that when someone tells you to have faith in the Lord and give it over to God, they mean have faith in the Lord and give it over to God as I direct you to. Because I know all the rules because God speaks to me and through me to you. It's just a method of control. And you create a lot of dependency.
Now, you said that you've stopped drinking?
Yes.
Completely. How long have you been successful?
8 years.
Whoa.
Yes. And I was trying for 20 years before that in AA.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So this was a really hard thing for you to do. It was really ingrained in your behavior.
It was, but when I finally made the decision and realized it was my power, I quit within. I started reading the book Rational Recovery, and I quit by the time I finished the first page, and I have stayed quit for 8 years.
Well,
that is awesome.
I know, and I was so bad, you guys, like seriously bad.
Oh, you should be walking around with the tiara on, honey.
But I can't say it was hard. It wasn't hard. It was easy. Yeah. Once I got it in my brain, I stopped just like that.
And that is the difference in the different recoveries. Is you're not, the way that I understand it is when you finally caught onto it, you ceased that cycle that the 12-step programs actually, in my opinion, encourages, because it keeps you dependent on that cycle.
It does. It keeps you dependent, and I'm not sure exactly why you become dependent on it. I see that it's happening. But like with the religion, if they want you to become dependent on it because they want your money and they want they want control of you. AA, I'm not entirely sure what their ultimate goal is with that.
I think I know, and I think what it is switching one addiction with another.
Yes, definitely. But why? Like, what benefit is it to them?
It's the family. It's the we're all screwed up together kind of thing. It generates a codependency that is very unhealthy.
Well, I know groups.
I love it.
See, groups like AA, blah blah blah. If they can nab you, and especially if you are of breeding age, then they're basically nabbing your children.
Wow, yeah, they are. They are.
What do you think about it? Because they also have groups for family members of alcoholics.
Yes. Al-Anon.
They drag the rest of everybody in. Yeah, Al-Anon, that's it. Or they drag the rest of everybody in. And
Al-Anon,
it's the same type of mojo.
Yeah.
You have to join in on the spirituality thing with very little responsibility, and you end up you know, and of course, if you're getting up in a group and you're being intimate and you're sharing your flaws and your successes, you're gonna feel an emotional pull to the people around you. I think more so than, well, I can't say this, but I think more so than in a church, because don't you in church just sit there and like warm the seats?
Yeah.
Or is there more to church than that? Because I don't know.
There's
I grew up Catholic, and we went to church every Sunday, and we had folk mass, and we were very engaged and involved.
Right.
Not
it
definitely
depends.
not the same level as AA people are. AA people are
No.
super engaged with each other. They know everything about each other.
And that's why so many of them end up doing what's called the 13th step.
What's
What?
the 13th step?
I should know that.
Sleeping around within the group.
Oh,
What?
okay.
Yeah,
13 steps?
there's a
I'm very familiar with that. I just didn't know what it was.
yeah, the
Wouldn't
13th
that
step is
cause
when
relapses? If you're getting
uh,
too emotionally involved in everyone else's
yep.
crap, wouldn't that cause a
They say,
relapse?
they say definitely not to do that. Like they say not to do it, but people do it.
Oh, it's so prevalent.
Right?
It is so prevalent, especially there was a time when it was forbidden for men to have female for
Yeah.
men and women to sponsor each other.
Yeah.
But when that disappeared, that opened up this whole new can of worms of becoming very intimate and very knowledgeable and
Yeah.
very emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And that just escalated until you have the 13th step, which is, you know, sleeping
Bow chicka
around
wow
or
wow.
finding your mate in AA.
Oh my God, the ultimate AA experience, the pinnacle. But you know, when we talk about benefiting AA,
Yeah.
AA is like the root, I guess, or I don't know how to compare it, but like, what about the rehab industry?
Well,
Because
that
I
all
think
really did
promoting
start with AA. That started with Bill.
AA, but I think AA is like more altruistic, and the rehab industry is starting to make me feel like it's evil because it's it's promoting this thing that does not work, and they're taking billions and billions of dollars,
Yep.
billions of
Whoa.
dollars for poor addicts. On,
Yeah. Yeah, and then also the fact that if you relapse, it's because you're trash. It's not because the program's trash.
Right. It's not because of
What
this.
happens when you relapse in AA? Yeah.
Oh, and you well, like from my experience, I would relapse and then just stay drunk for like, not stay drunk the whole time, but stay drinking for about maybe 6 months. And then I would decide I'd had enough, and I would go back to AA, and they would welcome me back just like I had never left, really.
Keep coming back. Keep coming back.
Yep. Coming
And
back.
they don't recommend any changes, just you didn't try hard enough. Like what was their response to you other than hi, nice to see you?
Well, their response to me was mostly they said that relapsing made me stronger in my sobriety, my forthcoming sobriety. And almost all of the time I was told I needed to find God.
Okay.
That's
that's the
almost
number one
always
thing.
what they said.
Because
And with rational recovery, what's their take on it?
Yeah.
Like what did
On
they
relapsing?
on all of it? On drinking, on relapsing, on what you were doing? Like what was the thing that really stuck with you?
Well, you know what? I looked for the book so I could find the exact sentence that made me stop drinking, but I gave it to someone. I've had like 20 copies back and forth, given them to different people. But the gist of it was, if you really want to stop drinking, just say to yourself, I will never drink again. and that's it. And that was it. And I said, okay, I'm never going to drink again. That was it. In AA, they tell you never to say that. You can only go one day at a time.
Yeah, instead of making a vow to yourself to be sober, to quit the self-destructive behaviors, and taking that responsibility for yourself, you're then in AA, you're told, okay, take it a day at a time, minute by minute if you have to, second by second if you have to, and anytime that you're, doing this, pray, talk to your sponsor, do this, do that, do the other thing, and you'll magically become sober.
Yes. Right. There is a tool that they also give you. You don't just say, I'm going to stop drinking and then just like you're cured. But what they tell you is to start recognizing your addictive voice. That's what they call it, addictive voice. And the addictive voice is anything in your brain that says that you can continue drinking without getting into trouble. So if you ever say, well, I'll just have one drink tonight, or I wish I could stop drinking, but I have a disease. All of these things are your addictive voice telling you that, you can drink and not get into trouble. So it's a matter of starting to recognize that addictive voice in yourself. And whenever you hear it, you just say, well, that's just my addictive voice.
Yeah, and
basically that's it.
Yeah, and you're able to then go, okay, you know what, that's this, I'm going to go this.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have the choice. Are you going to listen to that addictive voice now that you know that that addictive voice will lead you into this hell? Or do you make the choice at that moment that you hear it to, to kind of take a couple breaths and see if it'll just pass, or decide to just let it pass. And I've had a couple of situations where I have felt like drinking. They don't happen very often, but, I see it. I hear the voice. Oh, maybe it's been 8 years. Maybe I can have a drink or two. Well, yeah, maybe I could, but I don't want to take a chance. So I'm just going to not listen to the addictive voice. I'm going to say, okay, that's my addictive voice trying to convince me that I'm healed and cured, when I know that if I have a couple drinks, I might drink until next week.
Yeah.
So the recognition.
Yeah, it's recognizing that part of you that is the addict. And as time goes on, that voice starts to come less and less. And like you said, for you, it's been 8 years, and every now and then it shows up, and when you're first starting in any recovery, with me, myself, I've always been a problem. I've been a problem drinker or a social drinker. So my addictive voice is like, oh, yeah, go hang out at the bar. You'll have fun. Or there's this problem, you could use a drink. And as time goes on, I go through and don't listen to that as much. I go, okay, you know what? No. My wife and I, we just had a daughter.
Nice.
Yeah, on January 6th. And,
Wow. Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yep. It's so awesome. She's, 3 weeks old, and she's so awesome. And, we also have a 15-year-old son. And you know what,
Cool.
People, when I came out as atheist, they're like, okay, well then your higher power is your family. And it's just like, no, my family is the reason why I choose to be sober.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a higher power. It's just a reason.
Yep. That's exactly it. And it's a rational response, the addiction and I know exactly what you're talking about when you're talking about that addictive voice.
Yeah.
It's there. And I mean, and sometimes it's right there, and sometimes it'll bat you around for like a half hour to an hour. But
yeah. Does that still happen to you?
Listen. Yes. Oh yes, definitely.
How long have you been sober?
Is it? No, actually, I've been sober for about let's see, since November. I've been sober, and I've been clean for. I used to smoke weed. I've been clean for about a month and a half to 2 months now.
Oh, okay. I wonder if this type of recovery is applicable to some kind of a drug that you would have a physical addiction to, like an actual physical addiction to it. I wonder if a drug addict, like a heroin addict, would have to. Oh, okay. So are you going to be the guinea pig and try rational recovery for cigarettes now?
I don't know. You gonna buy me a book?
I'll buy you a book. Of course.
I'm
Oh
cool.
my God, this can see me because I'm like waving my arms. I'll buy you a book. I'll
Okay. Okay. I wouldn't mind that. I actually wouldn't mind that because I've tried practically everything to quit smoking.
I wonder if it'll work on smoking. I think it'd be great. But when you quit drinking, you just quit cold turkey.
Yes.
So basically you did rational recovery without attaching a label to it.
Right. It was just I was looking at, my wife was going to be, my wife was in like her 7th month. And just looking at all this stuff and going into business with Faye and realizing, you know what, it's time for me to pull up my big boy pants.
Nice, exactly. God, that's exactly my process too.
And it's not something that I've applied to the cigarettes yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit part of me does enjoy smoking, even though the health benefits, because I have asthma, are absolutely horrible.
Yeah. I had a doctor tell me once that most people with asthma smoke. I have asthma, and he said it's something about the feeling, like the feeling on the lung. It's more sensitive or something.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, and and I mean the fact of the matter that I mean cigarettes are proven to be as addictive as heroin, even though the withdrawals aren't quite as bad. I mean, I'm not going to.
Have you quit before? Cigarettes?
Actually, yes, I have. I once quit for a month.
Yeah.
So, but then you go back on them, and I mean, I'm at about a pack a day, but if I quit and then come back, I'm at like 2 packs a day, like that.
Whoa, my God.
So I have a dumb question. Is when you were drinking, and I know this is super personal. When you started to quit, I know right now you have an online store.
Yeah,
that I've admired through Twitter.
Oh, thank you.
How long? I mean, were you doing that kind of thing back then, or like? Because to me, that is a sign of a very organized mind.
Oh my God.
I mean, like you don't do something like that with an inventory and that kind of thing. Like, if you are fighting an addiction, in my opinion, because I don't see how the two could go hand in hand.
Yes. Oh my God, that is an excellent point. I never thought about. When I was in AA, I always felt that I had to focus on the addiction.
Right.
I had to put all my energy into staying sober every day. It really occupied a lot of my energy and my mind. And then when I finally made this decision, I felt liberated. When I finally got it, I just was liberated from all that. I was free. I never had to think about it again. And I started doing things. I just started doing things, Like I started taking pictures. I started designing clothes. I started just doing all this stuff. Just kind of started flowing out of me.
So basically,
crazy? I've never thought about this before.
not hitting your knees and giving yourself over to God every 5 seconds ended up with you with your own business.
Yes, my own business. And it could be
Brilliant.
better. I'm constantly putting a lot of energy into that, and it's frustrating and scary, but it's fun. It's super fun. I love it.
Oh, I've seen your inventory and it's super, super cute, and it's everything that my sister drools over. You've got beautiful products and beautiful colors, and when you were telling me that you had been an addict and had gone through this struggle, and we were talking about that book, only thing I could think of was, how on earth did she do this?
Wow.
And I guess what you did was you gave up 12 steps and just turned on your brain.
Yes, exactly right, man. I was like in shackles with AA. I thought I had no other option, and I thought I was going to be a drunk for the rest of my life. It was awful, so depressing.
Yeah. Hold on for a minute. You guys just keep talking. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. And you said you were in a band?
I was in a band. Yeah, I was in a band in New York City for 10 years, and then I was in a band in New Orleans for 10 years.
What did you do? Did you sing? Did you play?
I sang.
Wow.
It was fun. And yeah, we did a lot of shows, and we were always hanging out in bars. All of our friends were musicians, and so we always were out going to different shows and just drinking in the bar.
Oh.
And then I started hanging out with the poets, thinking that might not be quite so drinky, and it was like worse.
I like that.
Poets are crazy. They were so fun, though.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a blast, though. I have to admit, it sounded like you were having fun. So, of course, having fun combined with a behavior that's not good for you.
Yeah, I
Must
had
have been really difficult. Did you give up your lifestyle?
I did. Well, I did. I had kind of a bad tragedy happen where my partner Russ got killed.
Oh no!
Awful in 2000, and that caused me to go from like partying with the band to just drinking depressively.
Oh,
and
no.
I stopped singing, and I just stopped everything then. And then
Doc asked, does Beth have any recordings available to listen to? And have you told her I'm a muso producer?
Oh, how nice. Is that the person who wrote before?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I do have some recordings, but I can post them if he follows me on Twitter.
Yes,
or
definitely
on YouTube.
Follow her on Twitter, everyone.
Except I'm super mean and nasty on Twitter, so I'm warning you.
Not. You're adorable. You're absolutely adorable.
I cut conservatives. I keep getting kicked off of Twitter. I'm getting in more trouble on Twitter than I ever got in the bars.
Because you tweet about everything.
I do.
I noticed that if you believe in it, you're gonna tweet it, and
I
totally respect that.
Good.
Totally respect that. But so you went through this grieving.
Yeah.
Was how long did you have between that and giving up drinking?
Well, I started going to AA fervently at that time. I drank for like 3 years, and then I started going to AA really heavily, every day or twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And kept relapsing. And then I thought, you know what, I got to get out of New Orleans because it's New Orleans. That's why I'm drinking so much.
Oh.
So then I started going to school. I went to Naropa University, which is a Buddhist university in Boulder, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
And I got an MFA in writing, and then I went and got a master's degree in archaeology in
Oh my
England.
goodness.
I know. I was like searching or something. And so I have this hyper education now.
Cool.
It's okay. And now I work as an archaeologist during the day. And then I got pregnant, and it was a big surprise because I was 44 years old when I got pregnant.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, well, what am I clinging to? I'm going to have the baby. So I had the baby, and that's really when everything changed. Because I realized I had to friggin' I had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no choice.
I think you would have ended up with health repercussions from what you're saying, and already having 20 years of it under your belt. That probably wasn't doing you any good.
Oh, and it's all blackout drinking, so I'm curious as to what it would do to the brain, and if there are any long-lasting effects on the brain from it.
I don't know.
Seem fine.
Well, you're on this channel.
Okay.
You're on this channel, so there's obvious. You're on this channel, so you're on this channel, so there's obviously something wrong.
Oh, so there's something wrong. I'm hanging out with crazy people.
Hey, I've got my papers. I'm certifiable.
But I think I would love to just Mary, I think you're wonderful. I really do.
God.
I think you were totally wonderful.
Wow, thank you so much.
Okay.
I was not.
You made her drop something.
Drop the mic, honey. Hey, is the State of the Union on right now?
No, that starts at 9.
Oh, dang. I thought we were going to preempt it.
I wish.
Wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be lovely?
Wouldn't it?
We don't have that many viewers yet.
How many people are watching?
Yes.
How many?
I can see how many people are watching. And it's we haven't broken double digits.
That's okay though. I wish I could have gotten my camera to work.
We've gotten more comments though, on my Twitter feed from people I don't see on. So I'm thinking we have more people watching through they're on Twitter. They hit the link and it's in this weird not signed in area.
So it's actually on Twitter.
Well, if I'm on Twitter and I hit a link for YouTube,
I
can't chat and I can't make the comment. I actually have to hop on Twitter so I can see the chat feed and things like that. Right now, I'm watching it on the computer and on my tablet, so it's kind of like one or the other.
All right, I get it. You know what? I thought of something about rational recovery that I had a little problem with, and I'm wondering now what you guys think of this.
Go for it. I haven't been there, so. Okay,
well, here's a question. So this addictive voice that they tell you to recognize in yourself, they ask you to call it the beast. And to me, that is not really taking personal responsibility.
No, it's not. It's a way of doing a step back from it and saying that this is something that is not you.
So to rectify that.
Yeah, it's I'd much rather say that it's my addictive voice than giving it a separate name, so that it's like something that is not actually related to me.
Yeah, because I can tell you this, my ex used to drink. He used to say he was looking for happiness at the bottom of the bottle. And every time he'd get to the bottom of the bottle, he'd look and he'd be like, "It's not there. I have to find another bottle." So, if you said to him, "You're listening to the Beast," he would think of that as something sexy, something attractive about himself, or something bad. Because I think he thought of himself that way, even though he really wasn't. He was a bit of a nerd. But, you know
what? I think that's a huge part of it, really. That was a huge part of it for me, too. I wanted to be, the seediness of it really attracted me. I was, mesmerized by, the gravelly bars and all that stuff, the gutters of New Orleans, you know?
Yeah. I liked it.
I got to admit, that does sound cool.
Marty could tell you.
It was cool. I lived on Bourbon Street, so it was very cool.
Oh, nice.
It was very exciting.
It's no wonder that you drink so much. You lived on Bourbon Street.
Nice. I know. You see, it wasn't my fault after all.
No, that was still your fault. You're the one that decided to live there.
Dang it.
You lived in the world of good coffee.
I did. Oh my God, I totally did.
Oh my goodness! How could I'm sitting there going like in my head, Patsy. How can you? My cat's having a rodeo. How can you drink when you're in the land of good coffee? I mean, that place is the coffee.
I drank a lot of coffee too. I subsisted on coffee and beer mostly.
Oh dear. So what about music though? Do you have any inkling to go back or sing or?
Yeah, I have a real huge desire to do that. Really, a lot.
I think you should.
Well, I'm a single mom and I have a business and my day job. I just don't have time to do it anymore. It makes me so sad. Yes. Maybe.
Well, like a little coaxing from your friends online. We can get a couple of songs out of you one day.
I was thinking that maybe I could make little videos for my shop and maybe write a little song and put that on there. And that's how I could channel that.
Yeah. Do it.
Sounds cool, huh? I need to learn how to do the computer thing. All I know how to do is record onto an actual tape. You know, like back in the old days. Before they had anything digital.
Doc wants to know if he may join.
Yeah, hey Doc, I will DM you the link through Twitter.
I mean, he's going to talk to us?
Yeah. Tony's going to come on and talk with us.
I think Robert also said something about wanting to be able to talk to. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's still up. He said, I wish I knew how to join the live chat, provided there is one.
I don't know if Robert's around or not.
I don't know. He hasn't tweeted in like 12 minutes, but I'm just letting you know. But like, Mary, I think you're really creative, and I think you're an amazing human, as I already said. I think you should sing. I think it would be great.
I would love it. I definitely feel like there's something missing there if I'm not singing.
Yeah, because I mean, if that's how you, I mean, not putting down the store, but also I think that Marty's already offered to help you with the YouTube channel, and I think you should do that. And I can say this: if there's anything I can do to contribute to, I will.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah, because like looking at your stuff and looking at your drive, and the fact that you could quit by telling yourself that you're gonna quit.
Yes,
I know
anyone can do
it, but obviously that book works because you've given it to a lot of people.
I have. I don't know how many it's been successful for, because I hardly ever follow up. It's usually just like strangers I meet on Facebook and stuff. Aww. But they never follow up and tell me if they actually quit or not.
Oh, it would be good to know.
I know it would be great.
I've given books like on self-defense. You know, what is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the title right now. I'm just brainless. But basically listening to your inner fears and not trying to talk yourself into being brave when you should be wary of the person who's following you down the street.
Yeah.
You know, like
yes.
Like that. And it's like I've been told off though. It's like, oh, you have a daughter. Oh, here's this book. It's like, get that book away from me. That's dark. And it's like, no, you really need to be able to teach your kids, you know, to do that. And I'm more of the wary type. Marty has to deal with my fears all the time. So I wouldn't be the person on stage singing, and I definitely wouldn't be the person who's brave enough to open up an online store, which I think is.
Oh my God.
Which I think is.
I beg to differ.
You know what? Well, having the baby. What's that?
I beg to differ. She is brave enough because she's a partner in Descent Studios. So there's actually quite a bit in there that is very brave of her.
Yes.
So her stating that she'd never do something like that, I hate to tell you that you're already on your way to doing it, Faye.
Yeah, well, in World of Warcraft speak, you're my meat shield.
Nice. I need one of those. You know what?
Oh, so I'm
Faye,
the tank.
oh,
I'm
you're
the
the
tank.
Faye, when you feel like you're not very accomplished, or you're not brave specifically, and other people are telling you that you are, it's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like you almost don't want to believe that about yourself.
Yeah.
Because when people tell me I'm brave, and they for quitting drinking or strong or something, I always feel like, well, it wasn't. I don't. Maybe it wasn't as hard as you might think. Like I don't see myself that way. I see myself as just almost like a kid, kind of toddling around, and getting lucky every once in a while.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. And not to like harp on the whole 12-step thing and how they suck.
Yeah.
But I just saw their 12 traditions.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about that.
What are they? Can you read them? Are you looking at them right now?
Yeah, I am. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. Like
Yeah.
barf. Our
Yes.
For our group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscious. What? Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. What?
Yeah.
I mean, like, the more you look at these things, the grosser they are. The only
I know.
requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking, not to stop drinking.
Yes.
Not anything more than just a desire,
Yes.
not a commitment.
That's what they want. They want the desire. They don't really want you to stop drinking.
And like, how many people go for the free donuts and coffee?
Well, the free donuts are a myth. The coffee isn't.
I know.
Oh,
I've never got a single free donut anywhere.
Yeah, well,
really?
I got lots of.
there was a big picture on the wall at the AA meeting that I used to go to. It was this huge picture at this guy. He had a coffee pot and a cup, and they were shaking like this, And it said the booze used to give me the shakes. Now the coffee does it.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, I had a
roommate. Unironically.
I had a roommate, and I used to take her, and like, if it wasn't the coffee, it was the cigarettes, and if it wasn't the cigarettes, she was like down in donuts. So I don't know where she got the donuts from.
Yeah.
But,
That must have been a rich
working.
group.
Yeah.
That must have been a rich group, because most of the time they're barely scraping for the coffee.
That's true.
Oh, well, it was connected to a church.
That explains it. That's where the donuts came from.
Yeah, I think so. But those are the two that I was talking to you about, Marty, where it was like, I was sitting there going, yeah, and how does this work? And they're going, well, God and prayer, and I'm like, but what if you don't have that? Well, then spirituality. And it's like, and if you don't have spirituality, because I don't consider myself a spiritual person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? They twist it around to try to make it fit into an atheist's worldview. But it's so much twisting that it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It makes it even worse somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever a real believer?
I was like a Wiccan, like a pagan,
Oh, so
yeah.
it was more like life energy, trees, that type of thing, or?
Yes. Oh my God, I was like totally into it. Yes.
Did you have magic rocks?
I did. I had magic rocks. I had like an altar. Yes. I had a journal that I wrote spells in. Yeah. All of it.
Oh my God. That means you also had the Athame. You had your Book of Shadows.
Yes.
You had your altar.
Like that too.
Oh no!
I dabbled.
So funny.
I forget what brought me out of that. I think what did bring me out of it? I don't know what brought me out of it. I came to my senses somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it was in
Yeah,
college. What?
Well, I got into Wicca out of Christianity, then dived right back into Christianity,
Oh, you did?
and then finally came to my senses.
What happened to you? What was your epiphany? Was there one, or was it gradual?
It was gradual
Yeah.
to come out of Christianity. It was
Yeah.
extremely gradual, and it was basically reading the Bible cover to cover, looking at the apologist resources, and realizing that these things do not. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
What about
You
you,
know.
Faye? What did you come out of it?
Oh, I was never a believer.
Never.
Nope.
Wow.
She's the first natural atheist that I've ever met.
I don't think I've ever met one.
I used to like love to say things to people like, what's going to happen to me after I die, to see what kind of bullshit they'd spoon feed me. Because if I got really bored or something, I'd bring it up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's like, oh, I'm worried about dying, so what's gonna happen to me? It's like I used to be a jerk that way. So
Trolling people. Trolling Christians.
I was, and I was
now I'm
doing it
trolling
to people I knew, and it was awful.
Oh.
But it, you know, and it's just like, and you find out what people believe, and it was strange too, because I met a lot of people with conspiracies about asteroids and like aliens and blah, and then other stuff was, of course, Christian or some sort of other thing that I didn't recognize. And if it was too strange, I ran like hell, because like that's frightening. So you know, but you sit there and you go, oh well, there's this power, and how do you know what that power is? Because some Christian lady online keeps saying things like, what would you do if you died and you met Jesus at the gates? And it's just, what?
Yeah.
You
what
know?
do they want? What do they? I would say hi. I would.
Hi, Doc. Hi.
Hey.
Like, oh my God, you are real. That's
Welcome,
what I would
Tony.
say.
So, yeah, Mary, this is Doc Hackenslash.
Hey, Doc Hackenslash.
Yeah, also known as Tony Murphy, the big teddy bear with blunted claws.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's great. He's totally great.
He looks angry in his little Abby.
Well, his Abby always looks crabby, but he's not.
Crabby.
No, he's got a great blog. He's absolutely brilliant.
Oh, awesome.
Love the way he writes. So can't recommend him more.
Wow, I'll check it out.
If anyone has a Twitter and they're watching, follow Doc Hackenslash if you want a brain.
If you want a brain.
If you want a brain. If you don't have enough of a brain and you need to develop it, or even if you have a great brain and you want to exercise it, find him and read his blog.
Yes, indeed.
So what's up?
I don't know if he's not saying anything.
Being silent.
Maybe he's waiting for me to shut the hell up.
He'll be waiting a long goddamn time.
I know.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there he is.
You've got
Welcome, Tony.
I appear to be having some problems.
Oh, God.
Well, you're not slurring, so you're fine.
He's not slurring his words.
No, I'm just I give Tony crap all the time, and he gives it right back at me. Okay,
really?
He posted in the chat that he's having some issues and will be along shortly.
All right. Thinking about what caused me to be atheist, I think what sent me over the edge.
Yes.
Is that you? Reading archaeological theory and just seeing how, religious institutions have really shaped our society.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi, Doc.
You're live, Doc.
I hear someone laughing.
It's a television, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I just let him know that we can hear him at least.
Can you hear him?
I could when he talks. Oh, there we go. He just popped in. There we go. Whoa.
I almost saw a
That was
real
an ugly.
person.
We have
That was somebody. That was somebody's face.
I saw it.
We were rich in Tony's right now. There's two of them. But archaeological fairy, I'm trying to look it up. Is that a book or?
No. It's like when I studied archaeology in England, we studied a lot of theory. And
Theory. Okay, I thought you said fairy. I'm looking for a book called Archaeological Fairy.
Oh my god, that should be my name. I'm an archaeological fairy.
That's the book that you should write. Okay.
No, your name should be a book called Archaeological Theory.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, Tony's here entirely now. We're good.
You got me now. Are we good?
Yes, we're good.
Fantastic. I don't know what went wrong there. Many reboots.
Well, you're here now, and that's what counts, Tony. So we're good to go. Glad to have
Absolutely.
you on the show.
So listen, the thing that I've always struggled with, and as I'm sure the others here will have attested, I have this thing about the empirical basis for things, and I know that the empirical basis for the 12-step program and its many progenitors and all of the things that have come after it have been really woolly, and its success rate is not anything like the way it's advertised. It's something I'm really interested in because I actually do. I'm a rational person, and I'm extremely deeply rooted in evidence, and I've I like to think that I have control of all things, except that there's this one thing that I don't seem to have the control of that I would like, and it's a real problem. I mean, ultimately, there came a point when my drinking became a massive problem. There was an event, and it caused all sorts of issues for me personally, professionally, and all sorts. And that was the point at which I thought, this is the point when I really need to acknowledge that I have a problem, that I need to do something about it. And basically I quit, and I just quit. And I've completely fallen off twice. And in actual fact, I've probably fallen off at least partially more times than that I won't acknowledge. But ultimately, the thing is that I haven't actually been able to just close the door on my addiction and say it's time for me to move forward. And I'm trying to do that, but I am aware that it's a process and not an event. And that's something. So I cling to that. But the problem is also that the more I cling to that, the more I realize that I'm clinging to that, and that becomes an excuse, and I have to be aware of that and acknowledge it and see if I can find a way past that. And that's where I'm up to.
The only thing in my life that goes along with it is exercise. And I hate to, because I used to be someone who ran every day until I had my accident. And running scares me now.
Yeah.
And the only thing is when I don't exercise, I actually lose what I've gained, like that extra balance that I'm working on. Because I ripped off my toe, and they sewed it back on. So like if I don't constantly practice, I can't walk well.
I see.
So like it's kind of like the opposite of drinking. It's something I used to love, but I can't do it very well. If I don't, it's kind of like, instead of drinking, I'm sitting. And every time I sit and I don't exercise, and I don't mean just like go through my daily thing, I actually have to practice. What do you?
I
The only thing
understand
I can do is just pick up the very next day and say, "Okay, I took yesterday off. I'm going to."
I understand.
do this.
I understand that. I understand that more than you might think, because I'm actually I mean, I'm a musician. I'm a musician. I'm a music producer now. My studio is my instrument now, but by trade, I'm a singer, and I just spent 20 years as a club entertainer, and part of my problem has been that I've had back problems for a long time, but about 2-3 years ago now, nearly, this became a massive problem. I had 2 microdiscectomies for herniated discs, and my mobility is massively decreased. I've put lots of weight on. I spend lots of time sitting in front of the computer. Exercise is actually a problem for me, you know, and that's actually part of the problem. And in fact, even now, even singing is a problem for me. It causes me huge pain to sing.
Oh my
I'm
God,
a singer.
that's awful. That's awful.
I play 16 instruments, and I ran a recording studio, and I still work professionally as a music producer. But my work is massively restricted by the amount of time I can spend. You know yourself, as a singer, having worked with any professional producers, the amount of time you spend sitting in one position over a computer screen or a mixing desk, sitting down.
Yeah, all
for
day
long
and
periods.
right?
It's a huge problem for me. It's a huge problem.
See, when I was recovering from my accident, though, I wasn't allowed to walk, and I did, and I ended up with the red line going up my leg. So they brought me into the hospital, and the doctor at the ER actually was screaming at me that they might have to amputate, and I'm going, go right the fuck ahead, because you know I have a bad attitude. So I didn't end up with anything chopped off, but having to not move for a year of my life, to reverse that, because I got comfortable and felt safer not moving because of the balance. It's kind of like I lost my sense of balance. So now if I don't exercise every day, I fall when I do try. So I'm covered in scars. And it's just like, I guess it's the opposite of, you know, when you turn around and have a drink. That's the same as me sitting in my safe place. I don't know if drinking is a safe place for you.
Well, it's almost more like, in some respects, it's almost ridiculous, because though, I mean, you don't know me from Adam, but the other two present in this conversation do, and they are more than aware of my relationship to reality, and what it actually is it's more like an escape from reality. Alcohol is just the quickest way there, but I'll almost take any way out of reality these days, you know, and in fact, since I've had the back problems that have caused massive problems for my singing, I also have some dental problems that haven't helped. That some of the fixes for the dental problems I've had have changed the shape of my mouth, which yourself being a singer, you'll understand and appreciate how difficult that can be.
I understand. Freddie Mercury refused to get his teeth fixed for that reason.
Yeah,
really.
Without spending a shed load of money on implants, which I don't have. You know, 30 grand plus.
Dang.
Which I don't have. on implants, then you know I actually have to wear fittings, dentures, just to have a full set of teeth, and even they're imperfect. But more importantly, they fill my mouth. I can't actually enunciate the way I used to. I can even hear now while I'm speaking how much different I sound. You know, of course, I have recording studio ears. I'm a producer, so I've got those deeply trained ears, and I can hear the difference in the sibilants and so on. And all of those little factors combined mean that actually it's almost impossible for me to effectively sing. And as a result, over the past 5 years, I haven't sung at all. Just odd little bits and pieces. And when I do sing, I notice that, you know yourself, you're a singer, so you know what I'm talking about. That the little the articulations and the rapid transition between notes without changing vowel sounds and so on, all of those things that you take for granted as a singer, I can no longer do.
That's awful.
So I can't actually sing to the limit of my ability, and if you can't sing to the limit of your ability, you're not a singer.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like I'm not a singer anymore.
Oh.
How can I call myself a singer? I made a profession of this, and when we contact on Twitter, we'll exchange recordings, and you'll hear what I was actually capable of before all of this.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, a lot of the things that you've been saying are similar to my experiences, in that I spent 20 years in the entertainment industry as a singer, and being a singer in bands, working out in the clubs and doing all of this crap. You spend all this time drinking without really thinking about it. And it's very difficult to get beyond that.
Yeah. Because that's your identity. That's who you are. That's how people know you.
Exactly. It's a way of life. It's part of you.
Right? Like you're afraid you're not going to have any more friends? Or...
Yeah.
It's a definite fear.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's just a product of fear. Maybe it's fear of moving on. But,
for me, well, for me, it was a fear of not being liked anymore. It was a fear of people not wanting to spend time with me because I wasn't drinking anymore. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of being like ostracized.
Right.
Is it because
that wasn't really an issue for me, and I understand that, but it wasn't really an issue for me because actually, for the most part, when I was drinking for comfort, it was at the end of the night when everybody was coming up to me, and you know, everybody wants to see you after your performance. You know yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to sit down and tell you their really interesting, honest life story and all about their children and so on. And you just want to sit in peace and have a bit of peace and a quiet and a calm down and let the adrenaline sort of drain out so that you got some hope of getting some sleep in the next 24 hours before the next gig. But, you know, I was playing 14 venues a week for nearly 20 years.
No, I could never do that.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Oh my God. I would drink, and then I would play a show, and then I wouldn't be able to wait until the show was over so I could just stop playing and go drink with my friends who were there.
Yeah.
That was almost incidental to me.
Yeah.
Really?
I get that.
Tony, if I can ask you,
yeah.
What do you think was your trigger this time?
Tonight? I don't really know. I mean, I've had a couple of bad days. Actually, I've had nearly a week of flare in the pain. So I have this chronic pain condition. So I have a cluster of nerves in my lower lumbar that basically are just firing all the time. I manage it by use of exercise, various other tactics, some cognitive tactics, you know, the way I think about things, my attitude to pain, understanding that most of the time it's just my nerves doing this, and actually there isn't any damage, and being aware of that and being able to move through it. For the last week and a half, I've had a horrible cold or flu. I'm not sure which. I think it's flu because I've had really bad joint pain all over.
It sounds like flu.
Yeah. And I've just felt really shit.
Hey, I get it. But
and I think I just got to the point where I just felt so bad that it was the easiest out. And it is a great pain relief, and that's one of the problems I have with it, of course.
I can imagine, but the stuff that goes along with it, I don't think that you like. Have you tried a TENS machine?
No, I haven't.
What is that?
And it's
what is that?
Brilliant. Basically, it is a little tiny thing with a 9-volt battery, and you stick pads on yourself. You stick pads on your skin, and you can look at different places to put them for different problems.
Yeah.
And you turn on the electricity, and you're basically using electricity to tell your nerves to stop freaking the fuck out and give you a break from the pain.
Yeah, there's a problem.
And
there is a problem.
Works.
There is a problem. In that.
What's that?
There is a problem in that the way these machines work is they stimulate the muscles and stop them from going into spasm, which is the cause of a lot of pain. My particular pain isn't lack of spasm. Spasm makes it worse. But what's actually happened is that because I had a long-standing injury and my nerves were basically firing constantly all the time because of this injury, once the injury was corrected, these nerves never got the message that the injury had been corrected. So they still fire all the time. So if you've got muscular problems that are causing you pain, these electrical stimulus products will work for you. They're really good. That, you know, I know people who've had great success with them. For my particular problem, I am never without pain. My nerves are just firing all the time. When I have bad problems, if I have spasms, which come about through coughing, sneezing, lying prone for too long, I mean, even getting up in the morning at the moment is one of those things where it takes me half an hour just to iron out all the kinks because of the little bits of discomfort that most people don't even realize they accumulate through lying down all night make those nerves fire. So it takes me a good hour and a half to get up out of bed. You know.
You ever tried hypnosis?
Have I ever tried what? Sorry.
Hypnosis.
I've tried hypnosis for other things. Relaxation is good, but this isn't one of those. This isn't a psychological problem. Yeah. Hypnosis is great for those, but this isn't a psychological problem. It's not a physiological problem, but it's not entirely psychological either. This is actually just that the nerves don't know when to shut up.
So it's a neurological problem.
Exactly. So. Wow. There's no underlying physiological problem. I don't have any injuries in my back.
I'm wondering if the TENS though could actually help, because your nerves do pick up on the electrical impulses that are coming through the machine, and you can modify the pulse.
Yeah,
so
the problem is
maybe if it interrupted your normal pain. Because
the problem is what it'd actually do is amplify it. Yeah, what it would actually do is amplify it.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Any changes amplify the nerve impulses.
Okay, if I can just.
Yes, Marty.
Okay, if I can just interrupt for a minute here. We've kind of gotten off track. What I'd like to do at this point is close off the show, and we can continue this discussion off air. At this point. We've been on for about an hour and a half.
I have to go pick up my son, so this is a perfect time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do you want to do this again?
I definitely do. Yes, it was so fun.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
And Tony,
maybe
if
we can get
if
the
you're if you want to
other-
continue this discussion, we can do that once we go off air. I want to thank Beth McCormick, Miri Bohin for joining,
Yes.
for being
Thank
our
you,
guest,
Beth. Thank you,
and
Beth.
Tony, thanks
Most
for coming in.
informative.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tony, for coming in as well. And
No, thanks for letting me in.
hey, anytime, man, anytime, you know that. So everybody else, y'all have a great night, and we'll be returning probably within about a week here. So
Sounds good.
time to go off air.